Well, it looks like they have quite a bit to keep them occupied for a while. Okay, from digging up the past, this next story explores a futuristic idea where ordinary swimming pools are filled with coral reefs and tropical fish, virtually speaking at least.
Now that sounds pretty weird, doesn't it? But we found someone in Bonn, Germany, who's proving with a little bit of inspiration and a lot of ingenuity, the impossible can become possible.
When Lisa Blum went on vacation to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, she knew she had to make this when she got home to Germany.
I went snorkeling and diving at the Great Barrier Reef, and yeah, well, that was fantastic. And I thought that it's a pity that we have nothing like that in Germany. So I thought, well, we could create at least an artificial reef to extend our normal, regular and boring swimming pools.
She decided to create the first underwater augmented reality in a mask.
Everybody knows about 3D games, but nobody has discovered 3D underwater yet, so I think that's really an exciting experience. When I go under the water, I see a virtual coral reef integrated into a normal swimming pool, which is a new kind of atmosphere. Augmented reality tries to extend the real world by virtual objects, to create a new mixed kind of world.
In order to augment your reality, first Lisa and her colleagues at the Fraunhofer Institute in Bonn had to build these objects you see from scratch.
We have the real treasure chest box, and what we do first is we take a couple of pictures so that I have the texture of all sides. And then I open a 3D modeling program. So the next step will be to create a texture map in Photoshop. I can use this texture map in my 3D modeling program to stitch it over. As you can see here, we have the whole treasure box in 3D. And now what we have to do now is to export it so that we can use it in our augmented reality framework. Now it's your first try for the underwater system.
Today, Lisa is kitting up her colleague Alex to test out their designs.
Yeah, it's a bit heavy. Alex has never tried it, and I'm curious how she likes it. In front of the mask, you have a little display. Okay. And underwater, you will see virtual elements that are projected onto a little mirror inside of the display, so that you can see both the real floor of the swimming pool, as well as the virtual islands and fishes underwater.
Once Alex goes in the pool, she's looking for markers like these. They cue the system to build a scene in front of you.
Because otherwise we can't display the virtual elements or the virtual islands and fishes at the right place. So for that reason, we have a little camera inside here that detects the markers on the ground. Yeah. So once you try the system and the pool, just focus your eyes on these markers. I just hold it a bit. Okay. The interaction works by approaching. So if the user comes closer to a marker, then the virtual elements react on it.
Every time Alex turns her head to follow a fish, she's throwing another curveball at the system. So they had to use this 3D orientation device.
This device sends the data to the computer, and as you can see here, the virtual cube is rotating exactly as the real one. And that's a technology we use to see how the user is holding his head. So if the user looks into a different direction, we can easily recognize it with this device.
It was really amazing. I've never experienced something like that.
This is an early prototype, but Lisa has many applications in mind, from games to training programs for divers.
For example, my personal dream would be to have the Finding Nemo scenario, swim with Nemo and his friends. I think there are a lot of things that can be done by such a system, so I also have a lot of ideas in mind.
The next goal is to broaden the user's field of view.
Well, one of the main drawbacks at the moment is the display, which has only a small field of view. And so what you want would be to have a bigger display where you can see a lot of more of the scenery.
So Lisa will keep her toes pruned in the pool as she slowly builds a little piece of Australia in Germany.
That's of course my vision. It's not yet as good as the Great Barrier Reef, of course, and well, maybe it will never be, but still I think it's a nice experience.
You know, I love augmented reality technology, right? It's very, very cool stuff. But I think that one
and
thing...
where you can put virtual things on top of real things.
Yeah, exactly. You'd have a layer or an interface. And we've seen a lot of that. You know, there's ways to get to the subway stop, VR games and stuff like that, AR games. But I think that we have to be a little bit careful when we're looking at, the real corals are disappearing, the real birds are disappearing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but, and this shouldn't reduce efforts to save those things. On the other hand, if coral reefs do go into decline, this may be the only way that people get to experience it. I mean, in a way, it's the same argument as for zoos, right?
Right.
Why do you keep zoos? Well, because this may be the only way that people see live animals. Now, of course, this isn't live, but at least it gives them some sort of version of what it would be like.
And to be able to appreciate these creatures out in the wild.
But it has to be more real. So if it's in the Amazon and you've got piranhas,
right.
you really
They have
need
to
be able to
attack.
rip them apart. Okay, up next.